That question you ask in every math class, the answer might just save an entire ecosystem. Have you ever sat in a math class staring at a bunch of equations and thought to yourself, seriously, when am I ever going to use this? Well, this one's for you. We are about to pull back the curtain on how some of the most abstract math you can imagine is actually a real-world superpower, a power that ecologists are using right now to save entire ecosystems. And it all starts with a problem, a really big one. Just look at this statistic. It is absolutely staggering. This is the damage done by just one invasive species, the lionfish. In just 5 weeks, they can wipe out almost 80% of the young native fish on a reef. That's what recruitment means, the new generation. So this isn't just a number on a page. It's an ecological disaster playing out in real time. So you've got ecologists and conservationists who are basically fighting a war on two fronts. On one side, you have these invaders like the lionfish spreading like wildfire, and on the other, you have these species we love, like sea turtles, who are struggling just to hang on. Both of these are situations where nature's balance is at a tipping point, and if you look at them side by side, you start to see they're really just two sides of the same coin, right? One is a population explosion that we desperately need to stop. The other is a population decline we desperately need to reverse. But to fix either one, you have to answer the same basic question. How in the world do you predict what a population is going to do next? And that question leads us to this massive challenge for anyone working out in the field. See, for the longest time, our best models for predicting populations needed one key piece of info: the animal's age. But what do you do when the animal you're studying doesn't exactly carry around a driver's license? The green sea turtle is the perfect example of this headache. Once they're adults, telling a 10-year-old from a 30-year-old is next to impossible just by looking at them. So all those fancy age-based models, they just fall apart. They don't work in the real world for animals like this. So this is the big question, right? This is the wall researchers were hitting. If the most basic piece of your puzzle, age, is missing, how can you possibly make a plan? How do you decide where to put your time, your money, your effort? It honestly seems impossible. But this is where math comes in with a seriously elegant solution. And here's our hero, the Lefkovitch matrix. It's this brilliant mathematical tool that just completely sidesteps the whole age problem. It says, forget what we can't know, like the exact age. Instead, let's focus on what we can see, what stage of life an animal is in. The easiest way to think about a Lefkovitch matrix is like a storybook for a species, or maybe a rule book for a game. It's not about birthdays. It's about the odds. What's the chance a larva survives to become a juvenile? What's the chance a juvenile makes it to adulthood? And how many babies does an adult have? It's the entire game plan for the population, all laid out in a grid that we can actually see. First, they're tiny larvae for about a month, then they grow into juveniles for about a year, and finally, they become adults. These 3 stages, they're going to be the building blocks for our model. Okay, let's start building this storybook with a couple of key numbers. First up, 0.949. That's a nearly 95% chance that an adult lionfish will survive from 1 month to the next and stay an adult. That's a really high survival rate, and it's a super important part of the puzzle. But the next number, this is the number that is just mind-blowing, and it's what makes them so invasive. A single adult female lionfish can produce over 35,000 new female larvae every single month. That explosive reproductive rate goes right into our model, and it shows you just how quickly things can get out of hand. And boom, here it is. This is the full Lefkovitch matrix for the lionfish. Now don't let the grid scare you. It's actually pretty simple. It just organizes all those probabilities. The rows are where a fish starts its month, and the columns are where it could end up. See that number in the bottom right? There's our 0.949, the chance an adult stays an adult. And bottom left, our monster number, 35,315, all the new babies. But here's where it gets really cool. This matrix isn't just a crystal ball to predict the future. Its real power is that it lets us figure out how to change that future. We can play with the numbers. We can ask, What if we lowered adult survival by 10%? Or what if we targeted juveniles? Math lets us test every possible strategy in a simulation before spending a dime or putting a single boat in the water. And there's a name for this technique. It's called sensitivity analysis. And honestly, this is the Matrix's true superpower. It lets us ask which of these numbers, if we change it just a little bit, has the biggest ripple effect on the whole population. It mathematically finds the population's weakest link, the absolute best place to focus our attack. Okay, but here's the thing. This is so much bigger than just one fish. The math we've just learned, these tools, they work everywhere. Sea turtles, pandas, invasive plants, disease spread. Any population where you need to understand growth and survival. This is the power of mathematical modeling. Think of the matrix as a crystal ball. It lets you see the future, or a strategic map, showing you exactly where to find weakness, or a blueprint, giving you the plans to build real solutions. It's data-driven decision-making at its finest. And here's the big takeaway from today. Math isn't just about numbers on a page. It's a language that lets us decode how nature actually works. And once you speak that language, you can start changing outcomes. So what's in your mathematical toolkit now? Matrix algebra, eigenvalues, sensitivity analysis. These aren't just abstract concepts anymore. They're practical tools you can use to tackle real-world problems. So what do the math say for the lionfish? Well, the answer was crystal clear. If you only go after the adults, you have to reduce their survival by a whopping 30% every month. That's a huge, maybe impossible task. But if you target both the juveniles and the adults, you only need a 17% reduction in each group to get the same result. The math proved that the combined approach was, and this is a quote from the research, far more effective. So this matrix is an amazing tool for a single species. But, ecosystems are way more complicated than that. You have hundreds of species all interacting, so to model that, you basically have to build hundreds of these matrices and then figure out how they all connect. And to do that, you need some serious computing power. And just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, one model used to simulate fish populations down in South Florida divides the entire ecosystem into over 111,000 individual grid squares, or cells. And each one of those cells has its own complex population data. Trying to run a simulation that massive on a regular computer? Yeah, not gonna happen. And this chart right here shows you why high-performance computing, or HPC, is such a game changer. What would take 35 hours, that's almost a day and a half, to run on a normal computer can be done in under 3 hours on a supercomputer. That incredible speed means researchers can ask bigger, better, more complex questions and get answers in time to actually make a difference. Okay, so let's bring this all the way back. Back to that classroom, back to that textbook, back to you. We've seen how this seemingly abstract math can chart the course for a species. Now let's talk about what that means for what we're learning right now. That matrix algebra that might feel totally disconnected from reality. It's not just a bunch of rules. It's a crystal ball for seeing the future. It is a strategic map that reveals an enemy's weakness. It is the literal blueprint that conservationists use to build plans that work. It turns a huge, messy problem into a clear, data-driven decision. So, here's the big takeaway. The next time you're grinding through a problem set, just remember what these tools can actually do. The abstract concepts you are learning, the ones you're mastering right now, they are the keys, the very same keys being used to unlock solutions to some of the biggest, most critical problems our planet is facing. Look, your education is so much more than just prepping for the next exam. You are building a toolkit that can be used to change the world. Tools to solve these huge challenges, they're sitting right there in your textbook. So the only real question left is, what problem will you choose to solve?